Hey everybody, I am Seabaugh, and this is
Jason Clay.
We're doing a special edition about Star Trek. We're going to talk about two things. One, the new Trek movie, and two, Vulcan Ale.
Vulcan Ale. It's a Vulcan awesome ale.
Ooh, I like. Keep this guy. Long story short, how I ended up with this beer, it was all over the nerd sites, so it was on, Geeks Are Sexy and Nerd Bastards and stuff like that, and people kept talking about it. And they're like, but sadly, it's Canada only. Through my magic, not having a lot of stuff to do at work, I found that it was actually made by this brewery up in Montana. Harvest Moon makes this out of Belt, Montana, and they make it every year for the Vulcan Fest up in Alberta, Canada. They made, I think actually CBS contacted them and said, hey, we want you guys to make a Vulcan or some sort of Star Trek beer going off of like the Romulan ale, and they refused to do it because it's such a bad beer, it has such a bad rep. Even if it's a totally new beer, it has that name, and it's just like, hey, try my piss in a glass. No one's going to do it. So this is actually a licensed by CBS Star Trek beer, and I guess they're going to do a whole series of these. I can't wait for the next ones to come out, but this is an Irish red. It's only available in Canada. I talked to the distributor. He's a super nice guy, a fellow Dragon Conner, and he basically got one down to me. I don't know how, the legalities of it, but it's here, so we're going to drink it.
Pop this thing open.
So the other thing we're going to talk about tonight is the new Trek movie. It's been out for a couple of days now. What do you think?
I liked it a lot. I actually thought it was better than the 2009 movie. It was just filled with action. Had a few little issues here and there, but overall I thought it was a really good summer movie.
Now we can get spoilers on this because it's out already.
Nice.
I don't care. Spoiler alert, we're going to tell you how this shit happens.
Yeah, that John Harrison dude, he's totally...
gone! Which, okay, here's my issue with this movie. And it's not even really an issue. If you remake something that exists, people are always going to compare it to that thing that exists.
Right.
And I know it's an alternate universe, and it is and it isn't, but first off, everybody knew it was Khan. Like, yeah, don't give me this bullshit on IMDb. Mm-hmm. It's John Harrison. Like, no, it's Khan. It's going to be Khan. Who else are you going to cast Cumberbund boy ass? Cumberbund yes.
Boy. Cumberbund boy.
That's dark. It's a red ale. It's not filtered, which I love, because you're not supposed to filter your beer. That's why God gave you a liver. I think it's only 6% ABV, so that is tasty.
That is tasty.
That is really tasty. It's, I get some caramel, some like banana almost in there. This is just awesome. First off, it was free, so I'm going to like it anyway. But
you can't miss that it's a beer at all.
It's
quite a beer.
Definitely a beer. It's got maybe a off-white colored head to it, but this is really good, specifically for the fact that it's not a filtered beer, because not a lot of people filter the beers. And they say it doesn't affect the flavor of it at all, it just improves the clarity, but I don't agree with that. I think it actually strips away a lot of the beer and makes it too bright.
Right.
And I like that, I don't know, I like yeast. If I could just chew on a brick of yeast, I would, but...
It's called bread. Just like
But I can't get drunk off bread.
That's true.
So basically the movie starts off where they left. My only problem with the first one, which is still my problem with the second one, how did Kirk get command?
After having never gone through Starfleet Academy?
At the end he's like, huh, and walked out. Would it be this, I guess?
Peace.
And then he stowed away on the ship and then somehow got to be captain after Spock was.
Right.
Because Nimoy showed up, he's like, you're supposed to be friends, and you're not supposed to be captain.
Right.
So, I don't know, he's captain for whatever reason, again, and then he basically says, screw you, disobeys the prime directive to save Spock. So, of course, Spock's going to die at the end of the movie now.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, and it's clearly a Khan movie. And so he loses his command, but then he's the first officer, and then the guy, the Admiral Pine? Was that it?
Is he Admiral by then?
No, the guy who took the ship back from it.
Right.
I don't know.
Is he Captain Admiral?
Might have been. I don't know. Well, he conveniently dies.
Let's start a big old argument, flame war on the internet about,
I don't know. So now Kirk is conveniently promoted to captain again, and then RoboCop's in it, which is kind of cool, but he's like an evil admiral who sends him after these guys. Anyways,
He was set up to be a bad guy from the very beginning.
absolutely.
I
It's
mean,
like he's in it. He's going to die 5 seconds into it. He's going to have some really cool prosthetics, or he's going to be a bad guy.
Well, my kind of issue, the very few issues that I had, one issue is that because it's a movie format, you don't get the characters. There's no depth to that. It's hard to really build that.
That was my
We
biggest...
have movies every 4 years, and
Absolutely. That's why I like Star Trek more than Star Wars, because with movies, you get, I say they're like the finale for fireworks. You get the big explosions and all the baths or whatever, but you don't get any of the backbone of the story, as opposed to Star Trek. Even the original series, which was the shortest one,
Right.
they had like 60-something episodes, 20 minutes at a time to like have this character development. All this, you get it back and forth.
you just can't catch that.
And the thing with this one is I think you had to kind of assume it was a lot of the same. But, well, actually, going back, the original Star Trek movies, you had the original story, which gave you the backbone, and then you had the big budget movie endings, which was awesome. Star Wars, you just had that alone. So Star Trek is, in my opinion, suffering from the Star Wars syndrome at the moment, because you just kind of have to figure out what kind of the story is and how these people are interacting with each other. I'm still kind of baffled why Uhura and Spock are
together.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Different universe.
Sure.
He'll grow a goatee
Let's
one
throw
day.
them together. We gotta have some sex in there somewhere.
Yeah.
The other thing I had trouble with was Khan. Like, what's Khan's motivation? That was really kind of thin. It's just like let's bring Khan in. He's a bad guy,
and that's it.
Yeah.
He kind of had the same thing that the Darth Vader did in the first Star Wars movie. He was on screen for Vader was on screen for 11 or 12 minutes the whole movie. And Khan was just kind of like there. He got bad, worse. You kind of trust him, and then he turns full bad guy for no reason. Well, I guess because he was just bad, and that was kind of it. So I liked the movie. It had, big surprise, a summer movie, so lots of special effects. It's just, the way I could describe the movie was, it was kind of like watching a really, really high-budget fanfic. Because I would have loved for them to go through and just did a whole new universe, or not a whole universe, like a continuation, or they had all that time between Archer and Kirk. They could have done that, and they could have made it look cool, but he chose New Universe, and he did it really well in the first one. And this one, it's just, once again, you're remaking something that already exists, so people are always going to compare it to that.
I think they've been very good about keeping the characters, like the essence of the characters. The actors have really taken on it, like Bones. It's Bones, Spock is Spock. The only one I think is a little weak is Kirk, but it's because William Shatner was so overplayed on the original series.
And the thing is, everyone always says, he's just Captain Kirk. It's like, no, he put too much of himself into the role. So
that wasn't Captain Kirk. That was William Shatner.
Oh, who was it? On the original pilot episode, the guy who wasn't Kirk, it was the other captain they had.
I think that was Pike, wasn't it?
Yes, and he got recast, and the next thing he did was Jesus Christ Superstar. So he was
Pike did Jesus Christ.
So he was good enough to be Jesus, but he wasn't good enough to be Kirk. So this beer is awesome. Yeah. Honestly, if I could, I wouldn't drink it when it's really hot outside. This is going to be like a little cooler. This would be really good for the spring or the fall. Not quite a winter beer, but
definitely a fall beer.
It's got a ton of flavor to it. It honestly kind of reminds me of a brown a little bit. It's not very hoppy. I'd say the IBU in this, I'm guessing, are probably in the low 40s at most. So you're not going to get a ton of bitterness from it, but this is a great beer. Damn you, Canucks. How dare you keep this good beer up there for you. Oh, there's yeast on the bottom. This is awesome.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, look at that.
Nice.
I love yeast. It pisses out alcohol and we drink it. So the ratings that we do on this show don't really have to make any sense, as long as they make sense to you. So I'm going to give this beer, not quite eucalyptus, but I might go old lady with Chihuahua bag in a good way.
Yeah, I'd give it 5 triples. 6.
5 out of 6. That's pretty good. No, this is an awesome beer. I mean, if this was $10 for a 6-pack, I could get it down here and enjoy it. I would buy this in a heartbeat. So,
tasty.
For those of you who can somehow cross the border and get a pack of this, I highly recommend it. This is an awesome beer. So, to that, 1 up.
Drink up and 1 up.